Hi there. It is almost the end of February, and this is traditionally the month of love. And I thought I would put some of my own thoughts about love out there for you to consider. So, this is called the Dragon of Love. What happens when the nice world you were living in just turns upside down without warning? And those you once depended on to help you navigate say nothing about what is happening or how to handle it. What happens is that you have some tough choices to make, and the only guide you can depend on is your inner self and the love you can muster. I'm not talking about the sappy, limited, romantic notions that many think of as love. I'm talking about real love. What is it? What is love? How is it that so many have fallen out of love? Why are so many people, plants, and animals lost in a world of pain and hurt? What has happened to our love? I think the first thing to understand is that love is an honest response from the core self. Let me say that again. Love is an honest response from the core self. It bubbles up from deep inside because love is what you're made of. It's what holds your cells together and what drives you forward. And love is what you become once you drop all illusions, fears, and angers. It is these illusions, fears, and angers that are the biggest obstacles to love and the ability to navigate big change. An example of an illusion is the attitude, he had no right to do that to me or say that to me, but he did it or he did say it, and that's what is. And what he said is a clear indicator of how he is, how he sees the world, not necessarily how you are. If you want to feel bad because of what he said about you, that's your choice. But I would ask, who's defining you and has control over your feelings? If it's not you, then you have a problem. As an example of fear, it's when you don't want to take responsibility for a mistake or a situation that you're in because you think the result will be blame, shame, or punishment. But you made that decision or took that action because you're human and you are not a mistake. All you have to do is fix it and learn from it. Fear is failure to use your love, which is the power to correct things. An example of anger is staying in a relationship that does not bring out the best in you. You end up fighting, pretending, stuffing your real feelings. You know you need to make a change, but you don't because you're trying to avoid the stress of having to reorganize your life. In your attempts to avoid one kind of stress, you settle for another kind, the stress of trying to live a lie, which is much worse than the stress of reorganizing your life. There is such a thing as good stress. Anger is change energy that hasn't been allowed to make the changes needed. Leave it stuffed long enough and there will be an explosion, usually in your health or the family dynamics or some tragedy caused by not paying attention to something because you were stewing about the relationship or because your anger came creeping out and you responded to someone inappropriately. Nothing is as rewarding as consciously using the energy of that anger to make tough but satisfactory necessary changes. This is how life gets better. And right now, it definitely needs to get better, especially when things turn upside down. So let's talk about love from a more science plus metaphysical point of view, because love is not just this fleeting, ephemeral rush of good feeling. It is the core of all things. Let's start by looking at the world as a composite set of unseen forces, particles, and elements. These unseen aspects come together to create the kinds of minerals we have here on our planet. And everything, our people, plants, animals, even our planet, are made from these forces, particles, elements, and the minerals they create. What is seldom understood is that each mineral has a feeling effect, an intelligent effect, and a purpose. For instance, magnesium contributes a willingness to connect, to be touched. Without magnesium, people do not want to be touched, and they tend toward reclusiveness. Calcium contributes a sense of rhythm and persistence in life. Without it, people give up easily and they cannot get organized. Potassium contributes cooperation. Sodium contributes a feeling of aliveness. It's almost like an electrical feeling, a lightness of being. Zinc contributes a sense of taste and smell. Like I said, each mineral contributes its unique gift to our conscious existence. And like all things that exist, at the core of each of these is the source. I'll talk more about source in a minute, but first, some of you may have heard me say that I came here to teach the world about the mind and consciousness. It was an assignment. I took it in hopes it would earn me an invitation to join one of the teams of people who go around the cosmos, seeding life and nurturing it until it evolves enough to step into the various roles that seed, protect, and nurture life. So it's a cycle. The teams that engage in this kind of work will typically visit many planets, do a lot of research, analyze the elements and minerals on each planet, watch the seasons, study the forces in play on, in, and around the planet, and look for signs of life. If they don't find it, they will return later to see if those signs have emerged or are taking shape. They know that the most basic tendency in the entire cosmos is the tendency to organize into patterns of life. So they are quite patient in waiting for signs of life to appear and in identifying the patterns and pathways it might follow. They know that there's an inherent tendency to reach for more energy in order to build up the form and become more than it currently is. They know that built into every form is the tendency to constantly reorganize into ever greater patterns of consciousness and capacity. So they look for these things and they try to nurture and support them. As these teams travel the cosmos, they map the various stars and systems, noting their frequencies, their main elements and minerals, and assessing the probable points in time when specific alignments of energy will provide a boost, like a push, a kick in the rear to the tendency to organize in such a way that new forms of life will emerge, or that existing patterns will be able to unfold and evolve into a higher form. And sometimes they will modify a form that has emerged, hopefully making it better able to survive and evolve. So, if these teams are looking for signs of life, then let's ask the question, what is life? The answer, the source is life. No one has yet been able to describe where source, or what some people call God, comes from, why it continues to exist, how source maintains itself, or why it is as it is. The only thing that can be said is that it is the source of all life, and it allows itself to be used in uncountable ways. And this appears to be part of the way that it maintains itself. Those who have entered into full conscious contact with Source, including myself, say it is empty of all form and motion, is silent and still, engulfs one in overwhelming love and bliss, and it holds only one singular awareness. What is that awareness? It is an awareness that can only be described as I am. This awareness is the core of each one of us. It is the reason that you can say, I am, and know that you exist. So, in returning to the question, what is life? Those who travel the cosmos consider life to be forms of conscious energy that have transitioned from the stillness of source into motion and waves of energy. Source begins to move. It is in this transition that awareness, I am awareness, becomes pure consciousness, which then begins to organize, sometimes spontaneously, and then recognizes its own conscious self-organizing ability. These forms of conscious energy, whether we talk about an amoeba, an animal, or a human, learn to coordinate and focus whatever conscious energy they have and use it to reorganize in ways that align with new currents and forms of energy. In this way, they expand and build themselves into greater complexity with additional characteristics and capacities. It is a long process, but once a pattern of sufficient complexity has formed, the process can speed up quite a bit and can also be assisted by other forms of being that have reached greater complexity, energy, and power. I don't want to get too complicated here, but let me say again that everything is made of source, and the love that is source is the core of you, me, the guy down the street, the fruit fly flitting around in your kitchen, the neighbor's dog, the house you live in, the car you drive, the tomato plants in your garden, even the cup from which you drink your coffee. All of these are forms of life, and love is their core. If everything has a core of love, why don't we see more of it in this world? Ah, good question. And there are other questions. If love is our core and love is an honest response, why do we not give an honest response to a government that is making decisions and choices that we absolutely don't like and don't want? What has happened to our love that we watch what is happening to our children, to our environment, our health, our money, and we do nothing? Why do we talk silly, stupid talk about building tanks and artillery vehicles that will use sustainable green energy and yet say nothing about the absolute destruction that will occur in using these sustainable tanks and artillery to bomb people, houses, trees, animals, and entire landscapes? Have you seen what happens to trees and fields when a missile explodes there? What good is a sustainable tank, and what sense does it make to build one if it's going to be used for total destruction? What kind of sustainability is that? This is a terrible glitch in our love and our common sense. If love is our core, what are we doing poisoning ourselves and the sacred efforts of plants and insects with sprays and substances that ruin life? What kind of love is that? Why are we growing food in one country and then shipping it to another country when every plant produces substances called paciferins, which are protective elements for us to take in? Elements that will fight the forms of bacterial infection in the local area that that food grew in. When that food is shipped elsewhere, those protective elements are lost to the local population that grew the food, and they are useless to the population of the country it was shipped to. Where's our love for ourselves and for the plant that has made an effort to feed and protect us? Why are we eating pretend food that looks like and smells like and sometimes tastes like real food, but it has no nutrition in it, no oxones, and no enzymes? We need nutrition to rebuild ourselves daily and stay healthy. We need oxones, which is another substance produced by plants to help us absorb the specific minerals and vitamins in the food coming from the plant that produced that food. And we need enzymes because they aid digestion and cut inflammation. What kind of lover of life denies these forms of life to himself and those around him? Love is a force that emanates from within and seeks to align with others in order to build something new with new capacities. This tendency to align and cooperate is as true for a few protons and neutrons as it is for a few billion people on a planet. We on this planet are on the cusp of reorganizing at a higher level, but we need the energy of love to do this. To get that energy, we will have to drop our illusions fears, and anger and return to love. If we want to survive and have the opportunity to reorganize in ways that allow us to build something new with new capacities, we will have to begin allowing love to work in our world. Especially important at this time is the need to understand that when any system of life gets big enough, it reorganizes in such a way that it can divide in half, thereby allowing each half to continue developing in ways that preserve the greatest number of options for all concerned. This division is accomplished through polarization. You may have seen video clips of cells in the process of dividing. We are doing the same thing, and we are almost there now. The polarization is nearly complete. Reality systems, worlds, universes, they're no different than the cells in our bodies. Keep this in mind, because this is the natural course of events. This is what love does. How do we recognize love and support its work in these difficult times? If you look for it, you will see that there are many ways that love shows up in this reality system. To love is to wish another well and hold the same wish for yourself. It is to take care of the self gently and to make the space for others to do the same. Love is the willingness to drop little reminders that we care. It is the patience to listen to someone and encourage that other to pursue his vision or dream. In the same way, love is the patience to listen to yourself and allow yourself to pursue your own vision or dream. Love is the willingness to stand in your integrity, refusing to engage in attack while being fully willing to defend yourself, but only as much as needed, not to completely destroy or cause others to suffer, only to get them to stop attacking. Love is the willingness to be honest about what we see, what we hear, what we think, what we feel, and what we're going to do about a situation. It is the ability to be flexible and to allow your thinking to evolve and change by letting other people affect you and impact you and enlighten you and shift you off center so that you have to find a new point of balance. Love is the patience to nurture those around you without forcing them to conform to your expectations. Love is the freedom to laugh at something funny that occurs in the middle of a disagreement, and thus remind the self that all situations hold wonderful complexity and the seeds of their own relief. Let yourself laugh. Love is the ability to treasure all life, from the tiny moth fluttering around to the irritating neighbor who insists on mowing the grass at 6 a.m. on Sunday morning, or allowing his dog and his children to overrun the neighborhood. Love is the willingness to see possibilities. It is the capacity to go beyond ordinary limitations simply because of curiosity, simply because they are limitations, and not because of what those limitations are proposing. Love is the grace to let yourself flow naturally into each day, to smile at the silliness of unexamined traditions and social expectations, yet go along if you feel like it, or step back quietly without causing a fuss. Love is the relentlessness of truth and the boldness of choices made in alignment with a deep self. It is the courage to act in alignment with that truth and yet respect the choices and the alignments of others. Love is the ability to let go of the past without forgetting what it has taught. It is the willingness to observe and learn from what you see. Love is the strength to set new habits and start healthy traditions without criticizing or trying to reform those who do not have the same strength. Love is the creativity that envisions whole new worlds and explores new paths while keeping one toe in touch with the reality around you. Love is the return to self on a regular basis, to reflect on what you feel, what you did, what you said, and to think clearly about what your heart wants and what you are going to do. Love is the determination to set things right by aligning them with ethics, values, and morals that preserve and protect life in all its forms. Love is the ability to take everything the world offers and use it to transform yourself, knowing that you are the one who is both reacting to as well as creating the world you experience. It is the willingness to embrace the mystery of the future and feel the excitement of the unknown with the attitude of, well, let's see what's next. I'm going to do my best to handle whatever comes. Love is the willingness to be real and realistic. It is the ability to acknowledge change and to step up to those changes with a sense of being in charge, not being a victim. It is the willingness to see a need and fill it, to see a hurt and heal it, to know a truth and hold it, to nurture a vision and pursue it. Love is the willingness to start over, to begin again and again and again. Love is the wisdom of good timing and a minimum of wasted energy. We have one foot on the next step in our evolution. But if we want to take that step, we will have to coordinate with each other and focus our efforts and our love. So I'll close by saying again, we are made of love. It's your core. And we have to live that love out loud. The dragon of reality is really the dragon of love that is hampered, hogtied, and hidden under the dense underbrush of fears, worries, and stubborn thinking. A return to love will set that dragon free and allow us to become new humans and build a new world. Let's do it.